There are reports China is stockpiling food and fuel at an alarming rate, with wheat, maize and rice sufficient to meet 18 months of demand. The country is also hoarding up to 70% of the world's grain, including 51% of the world's wheat. This is in addition to their already massive stockpiles of oil and marine diesel. Is this just a nation looking for long-term security, or is it something more sinister? Liberal Party Defence and National Security Policy Chair Lincoln Parker is all over the latest, as he is. We get him on most weeks. Great to see you.
G'day, Erin.
What does this all mean and how worried should we be?
Well, I think we should be really worried, but we should also be talking to the Australian public about it and looking at just what is China doing. So you mentioned the stockpiling and the hoarding of the world's grain, up to 70% of the world's grain, including 51% of the world's wheat. But look at the aggressive actions that they just took last week with regard to the Filipino vessel that was trying to resupply one of their own shoals, the Second Thomas Shoal, and a very, very large Chinese naval ship fired a water cannon on them to prevent them from resupplying the Marines that they have on this shoal. And then you have a joint naval exercise between China and Russia, their new best friends and allies, no limits allies as the Chinese call it, patrolling aggressively around Alaska, which forced the United States Navy to then take action and try and head them off. So if you look, and then I think what we also don't do in the West is we don't look at what President Xi Jinping actually says himself, where he comes out and says, we are going to take and invade Taiwan.
Absolutely. He doesn't kind of dance around it.
He doesn't mince his words.
Yeah, absolutely. And you don't want people to panic. You don't want people to be, overtly terrified all the time. But we need to actually realise that there's a genuine threat here and act accordingly. I mean, our fuel supply, 10 months at best in this country? If a war were to break out, even if it didn't involve us at all, it cuts us off.
It cuts us off. We used to have a lot of oil refineries in Australia, I think between 8 and 10 or so. Under the Hawke and Keating governments, we decided that we wouldn't manufacture or make anything in Australia anymore, and we started buying all of our manufactured goods from China, and we started shutting down our own oil refineries. I know your late father was a big proponent of why are we not having more security and more oil supplies for our own country than we do. I think, as you said, it's nothing. And if we were to be cut off from our oil supplies, which primarily come from Singapore and South Korea and elsewhere, how are we going to be delivering food in trucks to Woolworths? I mean, how are we going to operate our economy? And these are just things that the Prime Minister is not talking to the Australian public about. So we're not preparing at all, and he's actually pulling money out of the Department of Defence and undertaking a lot of so-called reviews, which is just another word for stop spending money in defence.
It is absolutely terrifying. I wish it weren't, but it is. Lincoln Parker, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Erin.
Really appreciate it.